Things are heating up in the NFL playoffs as the Divisional Round has come to a close. And with 4 teams remaining, fans around the league wait in anticipation of the Conference Championship round. We'll be right back with Keeping Score. Hello everybody and welcome to the Conference Championship edition of Keeping Score. Today we are joined by no other than the Candyman himself and Mekhi Wi-Fi Winfrey. Candyman, how you doing today?
JP, Joe Purdy, doing great. You're rocking number 17, Garrett Wilson. I'm rocking number 14, AFC East rival, Steph Diggity Dogs. We'll talk about the Bills, we'll talk about the Ravens, we'll talk about the Packers, we'll talk about the Niners, any team that played last weekend. Thanks for having me back on set. It's a pleasure to be here. And let's talk football.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you. And going on to Mekhi Wi-Fi Winfrey. How you doing, man?
It's not a middle name. No, but I'm doing good. I'm kind of sad the NFL season's coming to a close. We only got 3 more games really left. I'm not counting that flag football game.
Yeah.
But we got 3 more games left in the NFL season. It's kind of sad, but it's kind of bittersweet.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a big adjustment. You know, not having football, it's definitely one of the worst times of the year. So, yeah, but I guess we're just going to have to enjoy it while it lasts. Mekhi, I don't think I've ever seen a worse prediction record than you did a couple weeks ago. Thank God you actually, pulled something else up. You kind of saved yourself. So, yeah, very, very proud of you. But we definitely had some interesting matchups last week that are worth noting. The Texans and the Ravens. Candyman, you want to give us a little insight?
Yeah, I mean, I think people this year did not expect the Texans to do much. Rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, you had Tank Dell go down. Coach D'Amico's pretty young. He's got a lot of history with the Texans. He played for them. And the fact that it was 3-3 at the end of the first quarter, matching field goals between the Ravens and the Texans, 10-10 at the end of half. This guy by the name of Steve Sims had a great return. Mm-hmm. And Lamar Jackson really wasn't heating up yet. And he almost threw a pick. I think it was early in the third quarter. But then Lamar started to be Lamar. I think what people are worried about Lamar is that he's going to rush first, not stand in the pocket and pass first. But he's got a lot of great weapons with Odell Beckham, Isaiah Likely, other receivers, Zay Flowers, and they're pumping on all cylinders. I'm proud of the Texans. They're actually a very likable team. They're a team that's trending up. They're a young team. And like I said, Coach D'Amico should really not be disappointed in the results that the Texans had this season. And I think everybody picked the Ravens. It's a boring pick. They're the 1 seed. They had the bye coming into the game. But I think the Texans held their own for the first half. And the fact that they got to the divisional round, past the wild card round, and is a very good success for them in this 2023-2024 campaign.
Yeah, no, definitely. Especially with a rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, and injuries. The injuries are always a killer.
Yeah.
I'm definitely proud of where they've gone. I don't think anybody saw it happening. But Mekhi, you got anything to add to that?
C.J. Stroud had an amazing rookie season at quarterback. I don't think you could have asked much more from him. If anything, he played lights out like a veteran.
Yeah.
Receivers going down, obviously you can't control that. And honestly, the whole team just took a big step up. I'm excited to see what they can do for the next 10 years.
Yep. All right, well, I think it's time to take a look at who was right and who was wrong with our picks. Yeah, I definitely expected it to be a little bit more Ravens-sided. I feel like, again, Candy has said that was the boring pick. But Big Daddy, Candyman, Wi-Fi, really, you kind of snitched on yourself there with the boring pick. But,
I usually, in the years past, I get crushed for my picks by T-Money, Mr. Alabama right now. But
yep.
I went boring and I'm 7-3. Maybe I should be a little less conservative this week, but we'll see what the picks are later.
Yeah, well, Wi-Fi definitely respect going for the Texans. If I had my say, I think I would go with the Texans too. I really saw them having an opportunity. They did have an opportunity, actually, but they were just coming up short. Lamar Jackson was too much for them to handle. But, definitely it was a great matchup. But speaking of great matchups, some matchup that was a matchup that was really close. Like I don't think I expected it to be that close at all. The Packers and Niners. That was crazy what was happening at the end there. Mekhi, you want to give us a little factual information?
I will give you some information.
Right.
Green Bay went into San Francisco with a really big chip on their shoulder because they have not beaten San Fran in their last, I think, 3 at least playoff appearances. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to go out there and really prove that this team, even though it's young, can compete. And they did. I think that they were 1 field goal away from winning this game, and how big that would have been for Green Bay to go in an NFC Championship game yet again with a young quarterback, Jordan Love. But ultimately, San Francisco was just too much for them. Christian McCaffrey kind of had his way when he got the ball in his hands. He was definitely the biggest player for that team, and I think if any team's going to stop him, they have to stop Christian McCaffrey first.
Yeah, you're right. And he didn't even really get going until kind of later in the game. That just shows how much of an impact one player can have on their team. Candyman, you want to add anything onto that?
Green Bay's a likable team right now. Like, you're wearing the Jets Garrett Wilson 17. The Jets were supposed to beat Green Bay. They were supposed to steal their old quarterback and make the playoffs and make the a divisional round run or maybe a championship game run. Didn't happen. So if I'm Green Bay, I'm Matt LaFleur. If I'm the Green Bay owners, if I'm the Green Bay general manager, I'm laughing at the Jets and the trade. They got the better of the trade, and us Jet fans, we are going to ride out this mess, this pain into next year. Green Bay, you got to tip your caps to them. They had a great season. The Niners didn't really look too well. They didn't look too that great. I think they're a little vulnerable going into this NFC Championship game. But hats off to Green Bay, and they had another great season, and hopefully they, the ceiling's the limit for them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, especially
sky's the limit, I meant to say. Sorry.
Yes, yep.
Next to my colloquialisms there. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, now especially with Jordan Love sitting behind Rodgers for all that time, it's definitely starting to pay off. You can see it.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Coming that far in his first year, really as an actual starter, I think it's great. So,
Me too.
Yeah, without further ado, look at the picks. Wow, yeah, definitely a little bit more one-sided than all the picks we've seen. So we got T-Money with the Packers. That's just, okay, that was kind of weird. But
I do not like giving props to T-Money. But I'll give him some props there. They went with that because he almost pulled that pick off.
He almost did. You're right.
Very, very close.
Yeah, but you could see everybody else went with the popular option, and they were correct.
We're boring.
So. You gotta take the 1 seed.
M-Dog's not here. It's a boring set, Not a lot of animation, not a lot of energy. Yeah.
You gotta take the 1 seed.
He's always bringing it. Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Always bringing it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, again, great matchup. I'm kind of glad that the 49ers went on, though. No relation to Brock Purdy, but that's I'm always pulling for it.
Brock and Joe
Got to
Purdy.
keep the name. Got to keep the name going strong.
I like that. I like that.
Anyway, another matchup. This one was definitely. I thought this was going to be more anticipating than it was. It ended up being a little bit more, kind of one-sided. We had the Lions and the Bucks. Candyman, we'll go back to you. What do you have to say about this?
I think Mackay was the guy assigned to analyze this game. I'm going to throw it to you.
Oh, was he really?
Throw it to me?
Then I'll comment after.
All right, so then I'll start us off.
Wi-Fi. Mackay is your civilian name.
Civilian name.
Yeah. Yes.
This was a great game, honestly. Tampa Bay played much closer to Detroit than in the second half of the game than the first. Detroit was kind of beating them down, it felt like. But Tampa, it's something about them. They just kept fighting back and fighting back and fighting back. And Detroit, they drove down the field at the end of the game and they scored. And people thought the game was over. And Tampa actually started looking like they were going to make a drive. They made a first down and just an interception mistimed by Baker Mayfield ends their season. But that's not to take away from how good of a game it was, how good the Tampa Bay played all season. They really impressed I'd imagine, most of the NFL fan bases. And that's not a team that you want to mess with going into next season. I think they can really be, a dark horse for something magical down the stretch next year.
Yeah, definitely a team that I didn't see. I really saw them having maybe like 4 or 5 wins on the year. So they really just got shot out of a cannon, literally.
They have talented wide receiver core, Mike Evans, and why am I blanking on the other guy's
Chris
name?
Godwin.
Yeah, Chris Godwin.
Oh, yeah.
They're not just people who are accepting dimes from Tom Brady, and that's the reason why they're good. They're good. Todd Bowles, former Jet coach, he's more defensive-minded.
Yes, definitely.
Something funny about that game is prior to the game, Todd Bowles was being interviewed, and they asked him about the weather. How the weather is going to play a factor. And he's like, well, we're going to leave the bus. It's going to be cold, but don't enter a dome, and we'll deal with that. He really saved the reporter. Yeah,
definitely.
But they had a great season. I mean, hats off. I like Baker Mayfield. He gets a lot of criticism. I think Cleveland made a mistake. Who knows what happened there,
Yeah.
But he's a serviceable quarterback. I would have taken him on the Jets in 2 seconds this year.
Oh no, yeah,
Yes.
of course. To back up Rodgers, obviously. But
yeah, and then to start the rest of the year.
Yep, there you go. Yep. Anyway, let's see how our picks went with this. I'm actually kind of excited to see this. Oh, wow, T-Money again. That is no shocker there. Yeah, with the Bucks, we got Big Daddy, obviously, Lions, Candyman, Wi-Fi, and M-Dog. Yep, you guys went with the more popular
I
option.
think the Lions are just a good story this year. I think the nation is kind of rooting for the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they haven't had a playoff win in what was like 30 years or something like that prior
Yeah.
to this, and they're likable, and I think that's gonna be a good game.
Yeah, I
Lions
think the
and
world
Niners.
wants to see them win,
Yes.
honestly.
Yeah.
It's been long enough.
Yes, I
Yep.
agree.
Yeah, so, honestly, I mean, just more the popular option with the Lions. I think there wasn't really any doubt that the Bucks would really take them over. Maybe there was in T-Money's mind, but, that's always a crazy
somebody said they
place.
could have went for there was like almost a minute left, and they didn't go for
I
it.
mean, they
Yeah.
had.
They just
it was
kneeled on
weird.
the ball.
Oh yeah, they just kind of kneeled it out at that once the Lions got the ball back.
I don't
from the
like that.
interception.
I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of that personally, but
Yeah, I guess it's just really, it's not really good clock management. They weren't really aware. So,
No.
yeah, you can never really blame them, but you also can because that's really what your job is. You got to know what's happening in that situation. And, wow, yeah, definitely one of the more shocking matchups, Kansas City and Buffalo. That was tragic. What happened? I'm sorry, Candyman. I hate to break it to you, but just take it away. What do you say about this?
well, I'm married to a Buffalo Bills family. We all
Yes.
know that. It's stated every show. And a little tense in the household. We like to watch the game together. I took one for the team during the first half of this game where I did laundry. I was making the beds. I wanted Mrs. Cannon to enjoy this game to the utmost full potential of enjoyment. But when you're a diehard fan, you're nervous. You're biting your nails.
Yeah.
The Bills have been favorites the last 3 or 4 years. They won the AFC East 4 years in a row. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. They have never beaten them in the playoffs, and every game has been at Kansas City. So this was their shot. They had a great run at the end of the season, winning 5 games in a row to get into the playoffs. So I thought their game plan was great. They wanted to, and the Chiefs did the same thing, by the way. They wanted to control the ball, keep it out. The Chiefs wanted to keep it out of Josh Allen's hands, and the Bills wanted to keep the ball out of Pat Mahomes' hands. So got some notes here. I think it was 3-3, 3-0 with 8:08 left. The Bills shot themselves in their own feet by making the red zone 2 or 3 times within the 10-yard line and having field goal attempts. If
Yeah.
you've watched the Bills all year, Tyler Bass has been suspect this year. He's really not a great field goal kicker.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we saw it happen at the end of the game. Turning point in this game is I think it was early in the third quarter when there was a touchback. Hardman fumbled the ball, went to the back of the end zone. They get the ball back on their own 20. They don't convert on that, and they did a fake punt, and DeMar Hamlin got stopped 2 yards short.
Yes.
There also was some crucial catches. This hat's a crucial catch hat.
Yep.
Not made by the Bills' third receiver, whose name is escaping me right now, and Steph Diggs, who had
Shakir.
run right in his hands. Not Shakir.
We'll get back to it.
It's
We'll get back
Diggs,
to it.
Davis, Shakir, maybe their fourth option.
Maybe.
And it was Josh Allen did not lose this game. I mean,
No,
he
definitely not.
fumbled the ball once and they recovered it, but it's just a shame. It's a typical Buffalo story. And I do think whoever won that game, and it was the Chiefs, obviously we know that. I do think the Bills outplayed them. The Chiefs are going to have a tough task beating the Baltimore Ravens, but
Yeah.
more heartache for the Bills fans. Great season, and you're just wondering how long they can hold this team together, this nucleus of Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Steph Diggs, Cook, their running back, did well. Their defense, they got Von Miller, but he was kind of the splash they needed to get over the hump to maybe get to the championship game in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. So I just feel bad 'cause they're a good team. They proved it 4 years in a row, AFC East champs. I mean, you cannot bet against Josh Allen. It's like the luck factor is not there. It's kind of hard to watch. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, well, you brought up a good point with how long are they going to be able to keep that core together. So I'm actually going to go to Wi-Fi. I got a question for you. Do you think that their window is finally closed? Do you think that they're going to be able to still compete?
I think that as long as Josh Allen is the starting quarterback in any team, that team is a competitor. So I think that they have a small, but they have a window.
Yeah.
I think that Buffalo, their real opportunity, I think ended this year though, because
Yes.
I think as much as I don't know if they would have, it would have been a close game with the Ravens and then getting to the Super Bowl and then winning the Super Bowl, the whole thing. This was the time to beat Kansas City in Buffalo. You have Josh Allen playing at the best he has all season, and Patrick Mahomes, who looked to be on a dry spell, honestly,
Yeah,
and
no,
is just unable to close out. And Patrick Mahomes, obviously a great quarterback, but he just didn't play better than Josh Allen all that game. And it sucks that a field goal is going to be the reason that the Bills will not go on to the AFC Championship. But wide right will be still the most dreaded 2 words in Buffalo, and it's going to remain that way.
Yeah, I bet that they never
with
thought
all
it
that
could
stuff.
get any worse, but it did. It got so bad. Anyway, yeah, that kind of makes me happy that I'm a Jets fan. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I would rather not make the playoffs than lose 4 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah, those were good teams. You guys weren't alive. I remember them. A lot of those guys were in the Hall of Fame.
They were all Jet killers too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Jets were struggling during those years. Yeah.
they were, sadly. Anyway, I think this is a good time to look at our standings. I'm sorry. No, let's not do that. Let's look at the picks
Well,
first.
I want to talk about these standings because I actually picked the Chiefs. Because I believe is like, you can't pick against the king until they're knocked off the throne. And that didn't happen. I do think the Bills outplayed the Chiefs in this game, like I stated before, but I picked the Chiefs because they keep proving year after year. They keep finding a way. You know, they lost Tyreek Hill. They still win a Super Bowl. The emergence of Rashee Rice as the go-to third down option. Kelsey is playing, making the plays when he needs to. Pacheco did not play in the regular season game against the Bills. He was a huge factor. I mean, he on some of his runs, he looked like Marshawn Lynch back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
He looked like beast mode. So
It's hard to bring him down.
those factors definitely helped them, helped their game plan. So,
Yeah, no
like I
doubt.
said, I think the Bills outplayed them, but I did pick the Chiefs because, until the king is dethroned, got to go with them.
Exactly. Yep. No, couldn't agree with you more. It's one of the matchups that we saw was more. We had more picks on the wrong side than the actual right side. So
Well, I think America's rooting for the Bills too.
yeah, no, I would think so.
They're like Josh Allen's very likable. I mean, I went to training camp. He signed for my kids. Great
Yeah.
personality. Seems to know how to deal with media. Says the right things all the time.
Yeah, you're right.
We really have no bad, evil press against him.
Yeah, so we are going to have to see what they do next year. We're going to see
Yeah.
if they're going to be able to carry it on. Now would be a good time, the appropriate time to look at our standings. Wi-Fi, no surprise, but you are tied with T Money. He really didn't have all of the really good picks that you usually see him. No disrespect on him, obviously. He's always been great, but it's definitely shocking to see him that low. Candyman, you're in first. That's impressive, 7-3.
I'm usually never in first. Yeah.
Yeah,
I usually do the random picks. I ask my son, who should we pick? Blah blah blah.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
so when you're in your mid 40s and you're teaching and you got kids, you got other responsibilities.
Yeah.
You don't get as pumped. If I was your age, I'd be all pumped up about it.
Got you.
Yeah.
And then we had M-Dog and Big Daddy in the mix there as well. That's a close race between them, too. We're going to have to see maybe if they can take you over in first, or maybe they're just going to have to settle for second and third. Anyway, Mikhail, you got to step it up, man. I'm sorry. You really do.
Man.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on to our conference championship games. Chiefs and Ravens. Again, I feel like that's going to be super highly anticipated. So, Candyman, what do you think?
I think the nation wants to see the Chiefs lose.
Yes, definitely. Me too.
It's a boring pick, but the Ravens, man. The second half of that game against the Texans, they're just taking over. I think it comes down to Lamar. Obviously, any franchise, you need a superstar quarterback to really be successful and to sustain playoffs, making the playoffs 4 or 5 years in a row, maybe making the championship game, maybe making that Super Bowl run. And I think he needs this win for himself as well.
Definitely,
because he's an MVP. He'll probably win MVP this year, and he needs to be in the Super Bowl. Maybe even win the Super Bowl, because that's what's the word I'm looking for? The negative the negative aspect of him, where people will claim that he's a run-first quarterback. I mean, it's working right now.
Yeah.
But you got to prove that he can stay in that pocket and pass, and he's gotten better at that, and he has good receivers. But if they play like they did last week in the second half of the divisional round, I really can't see the Chiefs beating them. And the Chiefs on defense are hurting a little bit. Gay is out, Edwards is out. So Spagnuolo's got to get a little creative with his defensive schemes against the Ravens. It's hard, like when you blitz them, not to go to the side, like where like Lamar's going, and then somebody's open and he finds that guy. So I just
good at that.
Unless I don't know, I got the Ravens obviously.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
there was the day that Lamar was drafted, his interview, he stated they're going to get a Super Bowl out of me. So this is his chance to really prove everybody
Remember in the
wrong.
offseason, they were talking about like, are they going to sign Lamar? Is he going to sign with other
Oh, yeah.
teams? You remember that? And look where they are now. So
Exactly.
good for the Ravens.
Yeah, definitely. Wi-Fi, is there anything you want to add on?
Lamar Jackson, in most people's eyes, was in a do-or-die season.
Yeah.
The Ravens were the 1 seed, obviously, going into the playoffs. And a lot of people were not very high on them because of Lamar Jackson's playoff history. I mean, he entered this season of 1-3 in the playoffs. Not a great playoff quarterback. I think maturity level has increased this year specifically for him, and that is why this team is playing at such a high level. He knows when to run, knows when to pass. He takes his time when throwing. He doesn't throw stupid interceptions. He kind of he sets in the pocket and he just lets the play out.
Yeah, he's definitely like the epitome of the perfect quarterback. Is what you would really think. He can throw, he can sling it, and he can run. He can burn anybody. Anyway, looking at the picks here, we are gonna have to see. We got here, okay, a little bit more in the middle. M-Dog and T-Money going with the Chiefs, and Candyman Big Daddy Wi-Fi going with the Ravens. I like your guys' mindset. I definitely think that the Chiefs deserve to be humbled a little bit. I think their weaknesses are going to show a lot in this game. So, we're going to have to see what goes there. And now going on to our next matchup, Lions and Niners. Again, I think this one's going to be close. They're two great teams. Obviously I'm rooting for Purdy, but I'm also rooting for Goff and the Lions. I want them to prove everybody wrong. So, Wi-Fi, what do you got to say about this one?
This is going to be a very nerve-wracking game, and I think for all of America, because unless you are a San Francisco fan, I think everybody is rooting for Detroit. They are the feel-good story. This team has played lights out in the playoffs. I think they've been the best playoff team, quite frankly. This team, it feels magical, I say, because this team was so bad for 30 years, and finally looking like they really have an opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. They're one game away. Got to beat San Francisco. Can they do it? I don't know. I do know. I think I know. But Detroit, we want them to win. We all want them to win. But San Francisco has such a good defense, and I don't know if Jared Goff is going to be able to step up to the plate. And Brock Purdy, too, to be fair. I don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be able to make sure that he can keep a calm head, because he looked like he was panicking a little bit against Green Bay. Playing, again, a better team, in my opinion. Can he keep a cool head when he plays Detroit?
You're right. I think that Purdy has all the talent in the world, especially for being Mr. Irrelevant. He can throw the ball. I think he just needs to do it more often. He relies on his teammates a lot, though. I think that he really has to be that guy to step up. I feel like his teammates need to rely on him more than he's relying on his teammates. So, Candyman, you got anything to add?
When the game against the Packers, we got to remember that Deebo Samuel went out with the shoulder injury,
which is important.
So I don't know his status, but they still found a way to win.
Yep.
They got Ayuk, they got McCaffrey next to me. It's a tough game to call. You're high on the Lions. I like the Lions. Big Daddy loves the Lions, as we all know.
Yep.
I just don't like their opponents. I mean, they beat a deflated Eagles team in that first round.
Yep.
Right? The Eagles.
I think they played L.A.
They played the Rams. You're right. The Rams beat the Eagles, right?
No, the Rams lost to the Lions, and the Bucs beat the Eagles.
Bucs beat the Eagles. You're right. No, you're right.
Yeah. But they almost lost that Rams game. That wasn't a decisive win. I mean, that was a good story with Goff versus Stafford and all that.
Yep.
And the Rams were trending up on the way. Who was the rookie wide receiver we talked about?
Puka Nacua.
The guy's the man.
Yep.
That wasn't a convincing win to me. Even the Tampa Bay game, they kept it close. And to me, like Tampa Bay and the Rams were teams that kind of crawled into the playoffs. Yep. I do think the Rams could have made a run. I mean, they were playing really well. It's a tough game to pick. I'm just going with the favorite because it's at San Francisco.
Yep.
I think San Francisco, to seal the deal, they need the great play out of Brock Purdy. They need the more confident play out of him because he's a good quarterback. The story's great. I love the Mr. Irrelevant story. I just think he's got and it's only his second season, and we're talking about these guys like they're 5 to 10 year veterans of the league. But it's a tough one to pick. I just went with the favorite, with the Niners. I didn't really know who to pick. Yeah. I love, by the way, on the Detroit side, I love this tandem of
Montgomery and Gibbs.
I almost said Singletary and Gibbs. Yeah, Montgomery and Gibbs. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs was great. I mean, he stepped in when Montgomery got hurt earlier, so that run game has opened them up. They got the great tight ends.
Laporte has been great.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a complete team. I think it's going to be a really close game. Yeah. But I think if Purdy ascends to where we want him to go, I think the Niners win.
Yeah, and there's a lot of players on that Niners roster that have been to the Super Bowl. They had the lead in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and they're hungry for more. They
Bosa's been in the Super Bowl, right?
Bosa, Warner's somebody that really needs one, honestly. Yeah. I feel like if there's somebody as deserving of a ring as Warner, maybe McCaffrey's there too.
Yeah, I like McCaffrey.
Oh, yeah.
He's come a long way since the Carolina Panther days. He used to get injured all the time. Now he's really stepping up, and he's got a good personality, and he realizes he's a piece of a larger puzzle that could be a championship.
Yeah, so players like Warner, Bosa, and McCaffrey. I'm not saying yet, but that would do wonders for their Hall of Fame chances as they progress, definitely.
Yeah,
yep,
definitely.
Yeah, so with that, I think we can get to the picks, see what we got here. Yeah, wow, definitely more lopsided towards the Niners. Big Daddy, the only with the Lions. I feel like that's a little self-explanatory. And Candyman, T-Money, Wi-Fi, M-Dog with the Niners. Wi-Fi, could you give us a little insight why you picked the Niners? Candy already gave us his. So,
I think the San Francisco 49ers will win this game because I think that Detroit, as good as they are, I have a gut feeling it's going to be a field goal game. And I don't know if in a field goal game I trust Jared Goff in this Lions team to lead a 30-second, which I think will end up being the game drive at the end of the game to win this game.
Yeah. All right. Well, definitely some controversial opinions. We're going to have to see how that goes. So, unfortunately, that is all the time that we have for this week. Next week, we're going to be reviewing the Super Bowl matchup. We're finally there.
Goes fast.
Yeah, so we're going to be reviewing the matchup. We're going to do a follow-up with our picks. And, yeah, we're going to see how the standings look after that. So, from WVTV, I'm JP. This is Candyman, Wi-Fi. Thanks for watching, everybody.